Yeah, personally it does. But going back to what you said, the results, it's a reflection of me and of the team. So, I could play well and we not get the results, and I'm still going to feel a certain type of way about it. And that's the thing is I just keep pushing and, trying to encourage the guys like
Yeah.
we can do this. Yeah, they haven't gone our way, but, we keep our heads up and we have the mentality to keep pushing.
I feel like a lot of times teams would fold with the kind of tough difficulties that you guys have faced really all year long. You guys have seemed to really hold your head high. What can you attest that mentality to, that group mentality to?
There's a collectiveness about the guys here. There's been a lot of turnover, a lot of change, and we've remained positive as we can throughout this whole time. So, the results haven't gone our way, and it could be frustrating at times, but at the same time, we've got to stick together, and that's what we've done, and we will continue to do.
Looking forward for this team, I know at times through the year you said feel like we're really close to clicking. What has been missing to really just bring the whole thing full picture, and how do you guys try to find that maybe through the end of this season and going forward?
You know what, we've had several games where it has come together. It's just about the consistency, and I think that's where we have lacked is the consistency, and that is in this game, in this league, you get punished when you shut off for a second, and we've had too many games where we've done that, a second here, a second there, and then we get scored on. I've been here long enough to have been on the other side of that, where you can play a horrible game and win games. So that's the piece. We have it. It just hasn't been consistent.
For you, how do you stay sharp mentally when things at times can be tough? Like, what's your way to kind of keep yourself in that right mental state?
Knowing there's a bigger picture, and that if things aren't falling together right now, they will. Whether it's next year or the years after that, it's always putting my best foot forward, and I think I'm a big believer, and I go to church and I have strong faith. So I try to get better every day. I try to learn new things, and just grow as a person, and that's what keeps me going.
I wanted to ask about Kerry. How has Kerry kind of helped foster that collectiveness, that group within the group that you feel like you see?
I mean, he's been amazing. As a player, I couldn't ask for anything more. He's very clear with the objectives and how we attack the game and approach the game. Very clear. I have nothing but positive things to say about Kerry, and I appreciate what he's done, and I've been thankful to be able to work under him.
I think it's a matter of keeping things in perspective, and really leading from the standpoint of emphasizing the things we can control. And I've mentioned that over the course of the last number of months. And I think every man has really embraced that. Everyone in the club has embraced that idea and has tried to show up every day and be the best version of themselves. So we've had results that have been good, results that have been not as good, and probably everything in between. It's been an incredibly volatile season, but I think we've maintained our perspective on a lot of things. And we're fortunate in so many ways, both players and staff, to be able to represent this club. And I think we value that and cherish that. And each time we go out and we play, we try to give our best performance and support each other. And I think that's been the real hallmark of what this season's been all about.
Seemed like Jacob Bartlett and Jake Davis had a kind of a newer grouping together in the midfield, but how did you feel that worked out together, and what did you think of the way, at times felt like Bartlett was even maybe still dropping a little bit deep by himself.
Yeah, that was the intention. Jacob isn't by nature a double pivot, more of a single pivot in a 4-3-3 system, and so he was brought into the group to play that role. Unfortunately, we've had to change a few things around, but even as we entered that game, we knew Jake Davis would be a little bit higher in the game, and Bart would slide in between the two central defenders, which I thought he did extremely well. And he's played so many minutes this year, approaching 2,000 minutes, and I think emotionally he needed a little bit of a rest considering what he's given the group this year. But I think as he returned into the starting 11 in this last game, he did an outstanding job. And you always know what you're going to get from Jake Davis. Wears his emotions on his sleeves, covers a lot of ground, and is fully committed to the cause. And so between the two of them, you can count on them game in and game out, and certainly in this game, I think both of them accounted themselves very well.
One thing you mentioned about the Austin game afterwards was that felt like you had possession, but maybe you didn't do as much with it as you could have. What, especially kind of in that final third towards the second half, what actions are you hoping the team does, or that help maybe unlock that defense better as you kind of look back in hindsight?
Yeah, I think as we came out of the locker room at halftime, and as the half started, the game did tilt in terms of the field. In the way we've been accustomed to playing at home. A lot of the game was played in our attacking final third, and so what we were missing was that it wasn't necessarily the final pass, it was the determination to actually get numbers in front of goal, maybe when the ball was wide, get more numbers inside the box, and be a little bit more determined in those moments, because as I said, we did have possession of the ball. We did open the game. We did change the point of attack. We were allocated in a decent way. That determination to get in the box and really suffocate the opponent in those moments really led to the transition, the counter, and then the set piece. And we fell asleep in that moment, and that was the ultimate result in the game.
On that set piece, is there anything that you point to that that could have done better in that moment?
Yes. I think the way that they lined up and packed the box there on second viewing suggested that was something that we weren't ready for. And that was something that they probably added in the course of the week. And I think if we would have had a little bit more of a presence at the near post, kind of gotten away from that melee right in front of John, we would have been able to deal with it. But that was a credit to them. We fell asleep, and I would say it's quite easy to do when you have so much of the ball in the attacking third and one seamless counterattack leads to the only corner kick of the game. It's a reminder that the game can be decided in any moment.
Looking ahead this week, Salt Lake, last time you guys got a 1-1 draw. It was a pretty even game there, although the red card at the end kind of shifted it. What do you take away from that you guys can learn going into Salt Lake City? Well,
I think Pablo's teams always compete well, and certainly going to Salt Lake is a tough place to play, like most places and away games in Major League Soccer. We have quite a history with them, and it's always a special occasion when we get to play against them. And of course, at this time of the season, when points and results become so much more important, I think it's going to be a highly spirited game. They've been off for a few weeks, coming back off of a little bit of a break, and so they'll be certainly raring to go. But I think we're equally as determined to see if we can rectify this poor result over this last weekend.
And then Manu Garcia, what's his prognosis or outlook for the week?
He will be training throughout the week, starting today. He'll be training this week, and we'll evaluate him at the end of the week, but he's getting close.
Yeah, I attribute that to just the characters that we have in this building. All the men and women that work for this club are all just good people and are genuine people, and that they're genuine in their approach to their work, and that we're all aware that we're in the same boat. Whether the ship's sailing smoothly or taking on some water, we're in that boat together, and all we can do is try to bail water out and help each other, so to speak. So I think everyone here recognizes that. And yeah, that's why the togetherness is still there, and now it's just a matter of putting the pieces together to right the ship.
Khiry said there, a couple of times, and I've heard this from players too throughout the year, that it felt like it was really close to, at times, turning and being something really, really special. He kind of pointed to just a lack of consistency. What do you think is maybe one of the reasons why things didn't kind of come full picture this year?
Yeah, I think look, it's always closer in either direction than people think. What I mean by that is the difference between being in second and third and being in 10th, 11th, 12th is not as big as a gap as people think. A little shift in momentum, a couple pieces to the puzzle is sometimes all that it takes, whether that's momentum, whether that's a few different actual pieces like players or off the field pieces. But something we always say is it's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think. When it's going well, it's you can't get too high because you may build that up in your head, and vice versa. When it's not going well, it's rarely as bad as people think or as bad as you think, because the difference to that could be a huge switch is very tight. The margins are small.
Yeah, I feel like for a position like goalkeeper is a very mental position as much as it is physical.
Mm-hmm.
How have you, especially in a first year, kind of towards the end, how have you felt yourself kind of keep that mental sharpness all the way through, especially kind of going through your first full season as a starter?
Yeah, just by approaching it honestly the same way I've always approached it, and that is taking it game by game and performance by performance, not getting too hung up on results, but just being focused on doing my job and recognizing that I'm just a piece of the puzzle. I'm just a cog in the machine, and I just have to worry about being the best piece I can be. I don't have to be the whole, the working unit. I'm just a small part of that, and I just have to focus on doing my job.
And then we saw our first full run out of Alan Montez this weekend. What did you take away from playing with him, and how do you feel like he's fit in with the group?
Good. I mean, for a guy that's just came into the club in a different country and kind of thrown into a foreign environment, I think he's adapted extremely well. He's been good in the locker room. He's been a great guy to get to know, and it seemed like when he stepped on the field, it's somebody we've been playing with for some time. And if that's the standard that we're starting at, then it's a good place to be.